Hey, we are trying to help our students understand and know how to acquire spiritual knowledge. In here, their journals, and the very first pages of the journal, the core document, explains that there are 3 steps to acquiring spiritual knowledge. I think you know them, and if you don't, please spend some time in the core document and just become very familiar, certainly with the very first pages of acquiring spiritual knowledge. It is short. It's just 2 pages of a journal. The first step is act in faith. The second, examine concepts and questions with an eternal perspective. And number 3, seek further understanding through divinely appointed sources. Today, we're going to practice examining concepts and questions with an eternal perspective by looking at an issue that you're about to teach next week. Take a look. The first step we need to take is follow Elder Oaks' counsel, and we need to ask questions that will help us understand the way the world looks at things. So we'll make a list of, what does the world think about this issue?
How about Joseph Smith with a fallen prophet because he was asking him to have more than one wife?
Perhaps the world thinks that church leaders were trying to have more sexual relations.
The world would think that God would never ask anything like that of his people.
Now you might be asking, why on earth would we explore the way the world sees things? Elder Oaks suggests that it might be better for our students to identify simply their premise, where the world is coming from when they see an issue. And remember, our students live in the world. It may be that the students are seeing things in the same way that the world sees things. So it's good for them to truly and consciously identify that maybe the reason they're bothered by an issue is because they're seeing things the way the world sees things. The world might assume that members of the church at that time and today will do anything that a prophet asks them to do, no matter what, that they just follow a prophet blindly. After we've done this step, examined what does the world think about this issue, the next thing to do is to search the doctrine. Ask this question: what doctrinal truths could help me see things more clearly?
Yeah, how about God asked hard things of his followers?
And always has. Perfect. We also believe that man doesn't understand what God understands, and some things he asks of us are certainly not going to make sense.
How about God leads his people through prophets, but just like back then, people still have the choice to follow that advice that they're given.
Yeah, for sure, and get a confirmation of the truth as well.
Exactly.
God has and always will ask very challenging things of his people to try them and to test them. That's a tough thing to believe, but it's true that God's commandments are designed to try and test me so that I can grow and develop. But sometimes when I start by looking at what the world thinks and I review that, it helps me to kind of sit where they are coming from and helps me to understand, and it doesn't feel so like confrontational.
This gives me eternal perspective. I like these down here at the bottom. These give me eternal perspective. While the world gives me what people are thinking about it, I know what I can expect for all eternity. I know that these are the things that are important now and after I die.
God's been at this for a long time.
Yes.
So this is almost like a pause in history, whereas the eternal perspective is like, hey, expand your perspective. So what do you think? Will you try this in this coming week? As you teach about plural marriage, don't only just teach about the details, but teach them about how to examine concepts and concerns like this one from an eternal perspective. Start by identifying the worldly conclusions, the worldly premise, only because it helps them to kind of clarify, okay, this is what the world believes, and sometimes that might kind of be what I believe, and then move it over to a more eternal perspective by doing a doctrinal search and having a doctrinal conversation. We may never convince the world of some of the truths that we believe in, but at least we can sit with them and understand what their perspective is, and then they might do the same thing for us, right? Good luck, sisters and brothers. Thank you.